Hello, dear friend, and welcome. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson, and I am the owner and founder of the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. For over 7 years, we have been honored to bring you messages that inspire, uplift, and support your spiritual journey. These programs are made with love and made possible by you and your generosity. That's why over the next 90 days, we are aiming to raise $9,000 to carry this channel forward into the new year. Every gift, large or small, helps us continue producing, sharing, and reaching souls all around our world. So I invite you today to give as you are able, knowing that your support keeps these messages coming and available to all. Thank you for walking the journey with us, dear friend. Together we are making a difference. We are so grateful. Blessings on the journey, my dear friends.
Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 388, special guest, Rey Perez. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm the host, also lovingly known as RCA. And you may hear in my voice, yes, friends, I am healing, and but healing well. But you might be able to hear it a little bit in my voice today. So hold me in prayer, if you will. But today is a great day. We have a great guest with us, and of course, as always, our amazing and talented producer, Mr. Sean Kilgore, is with us.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode. Is episode 388 of the Experience of the Soul podcast with our very special guest, Rey Perez. We'll get to him in just a moment. As always, we want to bring you This Week in Spiritual History, where we take a moment to pause and honor what is sacred and holy about the week. So we start with today, Monday, November 24th. And today, Sikhs around the world honor the birth of Guru Nanak Gurpurab, which is the founder of Sikhism. So if you don't know, Sikhism is a faith that originated in the Punjab region of South Asia. And today it kind of spans all over India, Pakistan. But this is a religion of faith that believes in one God, equality for all people. And living a life grounded in service and compassion. So again, friends, not unlike any of our faiths or, things that we practice, right?
Exactly.
So Gurpurab celebrations often include singing sacred hymns, preparing shared meals, and offering acts of kindness. And I just kind of thought, as I was reading about this, what a beautiful way to begin this week that is really centered in gratitude and unity for all of us, here in the States, and lifting up that Sikhism faith.
Oh, yes. And I'm glad you did, Sean. This is something you wouldn't have no way of knowing, that when I lived in Phoenix and was working at Unity of Phoenix, I went to the Sikh ashram downtown and I did mommy and me yoga with Josh.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah. And the Sikhs are beautiful in their practice. I mean, after classes, or there are often community meals. The vibe is just beautiful. And there are a lot of singers that have come out of Sikhism as well. One of them is, I think her name, I want you to look this up.
I will.
Is Niranjan Kaur, Kaur.
Okay.
And her music has been a very important on my journey. And the Sikh faith is beautiful. The peace, the love, the sharing, the community, the acceptance, the equality. I cannot say enough about the beauty of the Sikhs. So I'm so glad we lifted them up today.
Excellent. I always love that, as we start to talk about these things and we bring, you're always like, hey, I had an experience with that. I'm like, you have experienced pretty much every faith and everything.
Well, there used to be one of our members at church that would say, I think one Sunday you're going to say, and I was walking the Chinese wall. I said,
I have.
I said, I promise I've never done that. I've never been to Australia. I've never been to China. I've never walked the wall. There's a lot I haven't done. But
all right. Well, still more to come. More to come. Yeah. All right, friends. This Thursday, of course, in the United States, this Thursday, November 27th, is Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving can mean many things depending on your story or your history and your heart. Yeah. So for many, it's a time of gratitude and togetherness. For Native communities, it can also be a day of remembrance and truth-telling.
Yes.
So this week, maybe both could be true. We can hold both.
That's right.
Of those things, right? The blessings that we hold dear and the honest history behind this holiday. So let's all just take a moment, take a breath, and let gratitude become a deeper, more spacious practice. And happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Yes. Beautiful week for all of us.
Yeah, indeed. This Friday, November 28th, in the Christian tradition, is the feast of Saint Catherine of Alexandria. So Saint Catherine is remembered as a symbol of wisdom, courage, and spiritual conviction. In legend, she had challenged injustice fearlessly and stood for truth even when it cost her dearly. So, right. So again, like super relevant, right? I mean,
all of these, Sean. And yeah. So, I do feel like we are growing and evolving though right now. I am hopeful at the moment that evolving, we're trying to evolve. So, yeah.
Yes. Amen. So St. Catherine's story reminds us that gratitude isn't passive. It can strengthen our resolve to do good in the world. I'm going to say that one more time. Gratitude can strengthen our resolve to do good in the world.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. It's amazing too, Sean, how just us as individuals, each of us, and I'm thinking of Ray, I'm so excited, we're going to bring him on in just a second, but he's always been a great example of that. He's a businessman, but his business is rooted in his faith and spiritual beliefs. And I think when one of us chooses that, how we want to walk through the world, mindfully, gratefully, with our spirituality leading the way, what a difference we can make. We don't have to be a minister or some guru or, whatever, being a singer, a performer, a designer, all of these things, are ways that we can bring this goodness of God into the world. So it's a powerful idea.
Beautiful. This Saturday is the first Sunday of Advent, so it begins at sundown on this Saturday, November 29th. As the sun goes down, again this Saturday, Christians around the world step into Advent. This is, of course, a season of hope and waiting and quiet expectation. So the first candle of Advent, and we'll talk about these each week as we move through the season, but the first candle represents hope, inviting us into stillness and trust. And this is a beautiful spiritual counterweight to, this time of year that can be very busy and hectic and frantic for all of us. So let's hold on to that hope, friends. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love this season of Advent and the tradition of it. We'll be celebrating that at Unity of Daytona Beach as well. And if you've never done it at home, it's fun to get an Advent calendar or light a candle in your own home. It's a really sweet way to bring a ritual, of the season and of the Christ energy, into your home.
Sure. Yeah. And it's a great way to sort of remember this sounds cheesy, but the reason for the season, right?
Oh, absolutely true. Absolutely true. I mean, some of the decorations and the money that's going to do it. And I'm like,
don't come to my house.
I know. Well, I love it. I love it. And I love the cheesiness because it brings a lot of joy and fun. But I think without also the reason that we celebrate, but all the colors and everything, we'll talk about it more next month because it's actually all based in spirituality. The red and the white, that's life and purity. So we are even celebrating it, even if we don't know. I just try to make it conscious, but yeah, I love the decorations too.
Yeah, 100%.
Rudolph is a favorite. So what can I say?
Right. It's a great story. That's a great story of acceptance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you want to be a dentist or you have a red nose, right? You're one with all. All right. So just for fun, for this week, friends, this Friday, November 28th, is National Day of Listening. So this is a warm, heartfelt day, a national day of listening that encourages us to slow down, sit with someone we love, and hear a story we've never heard before, whether it's a parent or a child or a neighbor. Really sitting with someone and really doing some deep listening can be its own kind of gratitude practice. Gratitude for that person in your life, gratitude for their experiences, and what you can learn and grow from hearing those stories. So on Friday, listen well.
That's beautifully said. That's perfect timing for me because my son's coming home for Thanksgiving, and we're going to spend a lot of time together that day. So it's really going to be a lot of fun. What a special season, my friends. Wow.
Yeah, big time, big time. And friends, I'm going to leave you with something to think about, as always, as we do at the end of this segment. Whether you are being invited this week to pause or to listen or to let gratitude open your heart a little wider, what can you do to make someone else's life a little better this season?
Beautiful, Sean. Beautiful. Excellent. Yes. Amen.
All right, friends, let's move officially into episode 388 of the Experience of the Soul podcast. We are very excited to welcome our guest today, Rey Perez, who is a longtime friend of Cynthia Alice's. He's a person that radiates service and presence no matter what he's doing. Rey's been a part of the Central Florida community here for decades, and he brings this beautiful combination of entrepreneurship, mindfulness, and heart into everything he does. So professionally, he's been active in real estate since the early 90s. He's been buying, renovating, and selling homes all throughout the Orlando area. And he's really known well in the community for his person first, his customer first approach.
Absolutely.
His strong negotiating skills and his ability to guide people through really what is one of the biggest decisions that anyone will make in their lives. And he does so with clarity and care. So, doing all of this in a very grounded and mindful way, as we were just talking about previously. So what Cynthia Alice and so many others love about Rey is that he shows up fully for his clients, for his community, and for his own spiritual path. So, friends, we are very pleased to welcome Rey Perez.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Always great to have you, Rey. And I'm glad that you could fit us into your schedule with all the great stuff you're doing, and I mean that in the best possible way. As you know, I've been impressed to see how your business has grown, and what I wanted to remind our listeners of. I mean, you were on like years ago, and it was right when COVID was starting, and you remember that? And
I do.
And I said to you then, Rey, what are the trends, that are coming forward? And I mean, you nailed it. You nailed it. And not only that, Rey, you helped a lot of our people think about those things, like what would most support them in their homes. And because, you were talking about us transitioning more to working from the home and making, like, rethinking our spaces. And then I've sent you clients, as you know, over the years. And, every time somebody works with you, they call me and say, I found my miracle house, or Rey really negotiated well, or so the, feedback has always been so stellar. And I wanted to bring you back on again in honor of you. And as Sean said, and as we said earlier, how you walk through the world and use your spiritual walk, as a true foundation, not only for your life, but for your business as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So, thank you for having me on the show. And I try to, blend my spiritual life with my work as much as possible. So, my goal is always to really just be as authentic as possible when I'm working with my clients and give them the information they need to make, as Sean said, one of the most important decisions many times, of their lives. And it's something that I like to guide people to do by keeping them away from getting into fear mode, because that's something that really we talk about this all the time when you and I work together, that, my strong belief is anything done out of fear is usually not the best decision. So I'm always trying to help folks in that area, especially through this process.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. And of course, right now, I mean, there's been so much, at least in the U.S. market. And I do want you to speak in a bit to global markets, because now you've moved, into being an international realtor. But the U.S. market, I know, is different from the global market, even though, as I've learned from you, those two are connected, certainly at times, because what happens in the U.S., impacts other countries for sure. And vice versa, depending on which country, we're speaking of. But, and even that, what I'm saying right now, it speaks to our interconnectedness, and, but you're right. I wanted to get back to what you said about fear, because given the current climate in the U.S., I mean, really, for about the last year, there's been more fear than I've seen, even more than when there was the crash in 2008. This has been, and I wanted you to speak to it, like it with your clients, there's fear about buying, there's fear about selling. Maybe I'm not going to get enough. And, how do you even help people, get past it? How do you help them with that? Because you're right. It is such a big life decision to buy a home.
I think, I try to listen to what people are looking for. And it's usually not just a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house. There's a lot more to it. It's when a person is looking to either sell because they have a transition in their lives that they need to either upsize, downsize, move out of state. I really try to learn, their goals, what they're trying to achieve, and in terms of their sales process, and just give them the market changes all the time. And I've been in it long enough to know that, if you follow the data, and if it's your time to buy or sell, and if it's right for you at this moment in time, it doesn't really matter necessarily what the market looks like. It's more what your life journey looks like. And so I try to get that out of people so that they're not caught up in the news and the headlines of what's going on that's fear-based, and usually creates that, kind of feeling, like you get frozen in. And do I sell? Because if I sell, my interest rates are going to go up. Well, they might go up a little bit, but is it time for you to sell? Do you need to sell because, there's a reason for you to move on from this particular home? And the same way for the buyers, am I going to wait till the perfect interest rate or the perfect, market situation? Sometimes it's your own internal, journey that's going to guide you into, this is the right time to do it.
Well, you said it. And, I've had a couple clients I've supported in this process over the last, several months. And, it's like everyone starts out saying, well, I don't know about the market. I said, you just need one buyer.
Exactly.
You're not selling to the whole market. You just need one buyer. And how we think about it. I mean, this is what's so interesting, Ray, and you and I talk about this all the time, personally and professionally, that the market can be doing something, but God is still God, and the principles of the law of attraction still work. And I know many people who've gotten incredible deals in terms of buying. I also know people that have sold that have gotten more than they thought they were going to get. I've had a few get a little less too, but they could sustain it and felt great about selling the property and moving on. So one of the things I've learned through all of this, like even more deeply, and watching your process and helping these clients is, as always, what we hold in mind is what we draw to ourselves.
Correct. And something you said there, I have had clients I've been doing selling real estate as a professional 100% for a decade now. What I have found is that there are sometimes incidences where people come to the table as a seller and they actually have to pay money out because they are ready to move on, and they're so happy. Right. They're so happy. Right. So it's not all necessarily about money, because sometimes it's the journey that you're on that you need to move on from this particular home. Usually I try my best. My goal is to always make people as much money as possible. You know that's it's always, in terms of people's wealth, that is a big part of it, their home. And so my goal is always that,
absolutely.
but the market conditions sometimes are different and we have to work with them. And then I make sure that person's ready and that's what they want to do based on what they want to accomplish with their next stage of life, and so it usually works out perfectly fine as long as we're working, like I said, from intuition, from the guidance from universe, God versus fear.
Exactly. Well, and that reminds me of something. You reminded me of a couple different things, and one is because of your own spiritual foundation, that you take. I feel like the way you work with clients is from a spiritual perspective. And you already spoke to a lot of that, which is helping them with their intuition. And I know another thing you've told me is helping them, define, as you're saying now, I don't know if you said it in these words, but this is what I heard about quality of life things.
Exactly.
Because if it's time to release a property or you're downsizing, it's time, then that movement forward is often more important. I mean, yes, everybody I know that works with you makes money. So, we're not talking about giving everything away, but what we are saying is it's quality of life that matters most. You can have all the money in the world. If you don't have quality of life, you're not going to be happy.
Exactly. And sometimes that means that where you're living now doesn't support those things that are intrinsic to your happiness, like community. If you want to live closer to your church, your where you do most of your activities, your nature, all those things. All have value, and sometimes it's not a monetary value, but it's a very important value in a person's life. So I always listen for that and remind them, because you start getting caught up in the numbers, and I try to bring them back to this is what your intentions are, your goals are, and why you're doing this,
Right. Well, I think that's a big reason too, Ray, for your success is I've known a lot of realtors over the years, and a lot come and go. And how steady you have been in this business really says to me your ability to listen and support, the clients is paramount, because this business is so much word of mouth, even though I know you do a lot of marketing and things just to keep people aware that you're available and, here to serve them. But I mean, it says to me, that you're so good at what you do by using listening as a top priority, as you work with people. That's how you're hearing all of those things. I mean, so I think that's another part of the way your spiritual journey is informing too.
Yeah, exactly. So listening, very important. My intuition, I think me, I have a pretty strong intuition. So a lot of times I feel that a lot of what other people are feeling in terms of their gut. And if they can't develop it into words, I help them do that so that they can really be comfortable and confident in what they're doing as they move through the process. So yes.
Well, and I remember the home you helped me find, which has been such a gift to me and my son. I had such an interesting list of requirements that I wanted, and you found it for me beautifully. And how it supported my little family was, pretty amazing. And so I felt like I should speak to that, because you've helped me with a number of transactions over the years. But I wanted to go back though to what you were saying earlier, because I think this is really important in today's market, because we are seeing trends change. And again, I always look to you for this, because so far, Ray, you've not been wrong on the trend. And I can spot a master and I see it in your literature. You're always like kind of pointing the direction. Like, it's like, if you're paying attention, Ray, you're pointing with a neon sign. And if if you're not paying attention, you might just feel a little nudge, but you're trying to tell us something, which is that the trends are shifting. And I know, your business is shifting into more global. So speak about that, because I know your work is somewhat in Spain now as well. So I wanted to give you some time to talk about that.
Sure, sure. So, as you know, I love Spain, and I have
Yeah.
another home there now.
Uh-huh.
I'm very grateful for. So I go back and forth quite a bit, and what I'm finding is the trends in the United States. I'll just step back just a second. In the United States, there's a few trends that are interesting. Is more multi family living. So homes are being,
Right.
people are looking to live multi-generational in homes, which is creating a different type of a need for the type of homes that
Ah.
exist.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the trend of having ADUs, which are auxiliary dwelling units. Sometimes they're used for your parents, your kids that are not quite ready to leave the house, but you don't want them in the house, or you can use them for income property. I think that trend is going to continue, especially with the need for
I
more
do too.
housing. The zoning
That's what
needs
I
to
was
change in
thinking.
a lot of areas, but that's going to be much more much a big trend that I think is going to be very helpful if we
Right.
move in the right direction with zoning laws and things of that nature. Back to my international part, I think that the world is shrinking so much and people are exploring other parts of the world. And
Yeah.
maybe they're looking at, they've traveled to Spain, Portugal, Mexico is a big one, Italy. And they like the idea of that European lifestyle of everything being a little closer together. There's a
Yeah.
walkability and slower pace of life. And some folks are really attracted to that. I am. And we have a
Yes.
very
Yes.
go culture here, and it's great, but
Right.
in some ways, it's hard on folks, and so I think that they're looking at other options to either live part time, retire in
Mm-hmm.
some of these countries, and I have taken the initiative to learn as much as possible and have the connections in these countries and different areas that Americans are looking at. To help people, if that's part of their journey, to help them, guide them through that process, which is a lot of fun, and it's something they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've talked with several people who I never would have imagined even a decade ago considering, buying in another country. And they're saying all the things you are, nearly verbatim in terms of quality of life, slower pace, and a couple of individuals who said, they have a concern about their care as older individuals, that they feel that in other countries, the elders are more respected. And so, I'm lifting this up on the show for us to just consider this and think about if we're really at a place in our country where people are leaving because they don't think their care is good, it's because we haven't taught the intrinsic value of life, but it is a factor as people are aging, and we have so many now in that, I guess it's the,
Aging in place.
yes,
Some folks
aging in
are.
place. Exactly. These are really strong considerations for, aging in place, as you say. Yes.
Well, yeah. So, and not to get too in the trenches, love to talk to anyone that wants to reach out to me about it. But aging in place is become also part of the whole direction of a lot of homes. Folks are staying in their homes longer here because of that. So they're accommodating their homes to be able to age in place. But the United States has a driving problem, and a lot of people at some point do not want to live far away from, because at a certain point in your age, you don't want to drive as much, and you want to have things close by, and so that is something that some of these countries really have are way ahead of us on, in terms of that, and in terms of also, like you said, there is culturally, especially in countries like Spain and Portugal and Italy, a very high esteem to elderly people and how they are a part of your life. Which this culture is, like you said, needs to do some fixing, on, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think so. We're a part of groups that are, very aware, and the people attracted to my teachings, and my work, just like you, we deal with a lot of people who I consider are, moving toward awakening, seeking to awaken and live an enlightened life, a spiritual life, a good life, where we're of service to others, where we support our family. So I think we're even more aware than the average person, simply because we're trying to be aware of others, needs. And I think if people aren't aware, and they get you as a support person, as a realtor, that you're going to really be able to, guide them through that. And I wanted to ask you one other thing. I was trying to remember, is it called, can't you look up where certain places of care are better? Aren't they called blue zones or something like that? Is that right?
Yeah, well, like, for example, Spain, I'd like to live another 10 years. Here in the United States, most folks, men, are going to, pass on in around 78. In Spain, it's like 84, 85. So, right. That's the average. So, I mean, there is something to be said about how that culture is working, that is keeping people, living a lot longer. And I think a lot of it has to do is that they're part of the family. They're very engaged in the community. There is no putting them aside when they get older. And I don't want to, sometimes you have to do that. People need to be cared for sometimes in a way that is hard for the person to do. But if you're a caregiver, but that is something that is not is not the first. It's a decision folks make very carefully in some of these cultures. They're usually older people are living with their family or very close to them.
Yes. Sean has a.
Yeah, just a quick producer's note. We have mentioned the Blue Zones before, and there's a Netflix documentary called Live to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zones. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested.
Yeah, they have some good cookbooks too. I have a few of them that are cool. Great that they've been producing recently. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. I'll definitely look that up.
Well, it's really interesting stuff. And, as we age, it becomes more interesting, right? Oh, yeah.
That is true.
Well, and, I know we're short on time, but, if some of our listeners are sitting there and they're kind of feeling a nudge toward a new home, what wisdom would you offer them? What would you tell them in terms of their next steps?
I think what they want to do is sit down and write what is it that their goals are, and not get too caught up, like I said, about the size of the house those things are important, but they'll come with finding the perfect home. But more, where are you in your journey, and what do you want the house to help you accomplish? A bigger picture, and write those things down first. And a lot of those things don't have a number necessarily.
Yes.
They're a different type of value, and I think that's the first step you should do before you. And then of course, I'm always open to having conversations with folks all the time. I love what I do and enjoy it. So anytime someone wants to pick my brain and talk to me, I'm a phone call away or a text away to get them to have a coffee with someone.
Yeah. We love to meet for coffee. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention too, Ray, is that as your business has expanded and you're in Spain, I don't want people to think, that you're not available. Your staff has also grown. You have some new great people you've brought on that I've been fortunate to meet. And I just feel really honored to be a witness to your journey. And do you want to say anything about Mindful Realtors or the work you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we are a great team with a lot of experience, and I am, sometimes not physically here, but I have a team that helps me with everything when I'm not around, and I have. It's actually better for my clients to have more people supporting them than just a one person show. But my website, mindfulrealtors.com. You can go on there and there's links to looking for home property in Europe. There's links to every property that's available in Central Florida in the markets that I work. So a lot of information about me too in there. I think anyone that's interested can go in there and look at what I have to offer, and then obviously reach out to me at any time to have conversations about what their goals are, their home goals are.
Yeah, awesome, Ray. Well, thank you so much. And of course, all the links will be in the show notes. We try to give people, an easy and quick way to be able to contact you. And if you're watching on YouTube, you already saw the link there, mindfulrealtors.com. And Ray, as always, it's a pleasure and a blessing to connect, and hoping you and yours have a beautiful Thanksgiving holiday. Wishing you the best, and grateful to share the journey with you, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
And my friends, thank you for listening as always. We look forward to seeing you next week. Happy Thanksgiving and blessings on the journey.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support this podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to cynthiaaliceanderson.com/donate. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2025 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Sean Kilgore. A production of the Soulworks Group, Incorporated. You're listening to the Experience of the Soul podcast channel, bringing you inspiration, teachings, and practices to support your spiritual journey.